Hello, guys. Welcome back to another episode of the Scaling Brokerage Podcast. Today, we've been kind enough for Adam to bless us with some of his time, share some of his experiences in real estate out there in Ohio. So I'll kick it right off to Adam. Let him tell us a little bit about himself and his business.
Yeah, all right. Thanks, Jake. Well, thanks for having me on. My name is Adam Ashba, and I'm the president of Ashmont Realty here in the great state of Ohio. Go Buckeyes. We won the national title about a week ago. Yeah, and I also an instructor at a real estate college here in Ohio. So I teach all the new agents if they come to my brokerage or not. So I get to kind of be in the front lines of them as they start their career as well.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, we'll take us a little bit back. When did you get started? How did you get started in real estate?
Yeah, my dad bought a lot of residential rentals when I was in college, and he started getting to that. And my brothers, and I, we would help him get them ready. So we're kind of free labor. And then after college, I went to Bowling Green State University, and I went in business, and I went to banking. And then I got my license right during the housing crisis, the best time to get into real estate, right? My family, I had two kids at that time. My family thought I was crazy. And, but I said, I got a plan. So 15 years later, here I am. So, we are, Ashmont Realty is in Ohio, and, we serve about 2/3 of the state, all throughout Ohio. We have agents, in rural communities as well as Dayton and Central Ohio, Columbus, Ohio. So we have a little bit of both areas that we service. So yeah, and here I am.
Awesome. I love it. Well, and I mean, a testament, already, if we get started in, a market similar to 2008, it's definitely a hard, market to overcome, and especially not only to overcome, but get started in and continue to build.
Yeah.
So that's awesome that you're able to do that and continue still are here today. So that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah. I was going to say, in my career, I've seen the worst, and then you had COVID. So you had I always tell my students, I saw the worst in the market, such as, a buyer's market. You couldn't even sell a house to somebody back then. And then you have it where it was the other extreme in COVID, which it was a huge seller's market. But it's cyclical. Yeah. I mean, if you're in the business long enough, you're going to see changes. You got to be ready for them.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I know brokers before on the podcast, I mentioned kind of the cycles, that we see in real estate, every 4 years or so, kind of seems to be 4 to 7 years.
Mm-hmm.
But, definitely makes a huge difference, being able to recognize the trends and follow along suit with them. Obviously in 2008 and more recently in COVID being a little bit easier times, but times in between, when the market's down, market's up. How were you able to deal with, kind of anything that you faced in between? I know starting out and 2008 might've been a little difficult. Did you run into anything along the way?
I think we start the goal for the company. Actually, I owned another brokerage before Ashmont Realty, and the goal was to during the housing crisis, and Columbus was affected, not as bad as some markets, but our goal was to deal in high-end property management. Now, we bought and sold properties at that time, but it was tough. So what we did, our bread and butter was property management on high-end real estate. Now that changed as markets changed. We started getting to more sales. So as a company, we had to address too. And I think a lot of people, if they asked what I did 15 years ago, they'd say, "Oh no, he's a really high-end property manager." Well, yeah, we did, but that was because of the market. And then it changed, and then we got into sales, and it's been that way ever since. So. Yeah, you just have to adjust. I mean, make lemonade out of lemons, I guess.
Right. Well, and one of the great things about real estate is, there's so many different avenues that we can go down. Commercial, even going back to you can go to, lending, things like that are kind of adjacent with real estate. But then I didn't even touch on a tenth of, the different avenues we get into in real estate alone.
Yeah. Not all about just buying and selling houses.
Absolutely. And definitely, if we're watching maybe the 30-day listing or, some shows like that, we might get the wrong perspective, in other facets as well. But also, that just the only avenues that we can go into. So that's do you guys do anything to diversify over there? Do you guys have I know we mentioned not commercial land, sorry, farmland. Do you guys have any agents, doing on the commercial side or anything like that as well?
Yeah, we do commercial, a lot of commercial leasing. Some, I mean, I would say if you I don't know. I got to think of exact numbers, but like, I mean, our bread and butter is residential sales, no question. Lots, some small farmland. There are brokerages. There are some guys that like, they are ace in the hole with farmland. Now, I grew up in the farmland community, Northwest Ohio. The only thing I steered away from that, like making it a niche, is like most families do not sell their farms.
Yeah.
It takes a weird. Yes. So the turnover on farm sales are few and far between. You really have to cover a huge area of the state to have that type of, and I like things more fast paced. That's why I didn't gravitate towards commercial. But yeah, we do commercial, we do residential sales, and then some commercial leasing, and then residential leasing. But our bread and butter, no question, is right now is definitely sales, residential sales.
That's awesome, and that's something that I've spoken to a few brokerage owners that either have a division, or maybe some are more focused just because of where they're at territorially on the farm deals. Sure. That's an interesting point that I don't think anyone's ever brought up. Is the turnover on those is probably very low. A lot of people pass them down through generations, and
sure.
So I never thought of myself, and that's awesome. That's a great point.
Yeah. I think agents. Our brokerage encompasses a large umbrella, but when it to help new agents, I think like one word of advice is, the riches are in the niches. Like focus on something and be really good at it.
Yeah.
Because there's just, in Central Ohio, for example, we have about 10,000 agents, and 9,000 of them really don't do a lot, and they're just kind of floating around. But you do have some that are really good at something, and if you are, you're gonna be kind of niched as the expert, and that separates you compared to all the other ones. So
absolutely. No, absolutely. It can definitely help us rise to the top, and make it, a bit more, maybe level playing field, other agents coming in, kind of starting in the same blocks as yourself. So that's awesome. To dive into marketing, recruiting a little bit, do you guys do anything to market yourselves, market the business out to other agents? Anything like that?
We did. The foundation for Ashmont Realty was really like 3 key points that when I started the company is like, one, I wanted a brokerage that like agents could get good commission splits, because I was an agent too. I saw my license when I sell. And so, we all of our agents started at an 80-20 split, which is pretty good. And we have lead gen technology and stuff. It's only $99 a month. So I thought that was important to try to make monthly fees doable.
Very manageable.
And then the second thing is to have training and support for our agents, because that's what they desperately need, for sure. I don't care if you're a new agent or existing. Training never ends. So all of our agents, all have one-on-one mentors, which is nice, and that the mentors get paid out of the company split, out of the 20%. So our agents don't even have to pay for that. But one thing that's important is, that I realized, over the years is, the NAR says that 3/4 of agents are part-time, which means they have day jobs, they have other commitments, and they're not sitting around in an office all day. So, we had to think about, how we're going to train agents that, majority of them are part-time, because they need trained. You can have the best trainer in the world, the best mentor in the world, but if they're not getting that training somehow, I always use the metaphor like, I could have Arnold Schwarzenegger work, be my gym instructor and work me out, and bodybuilding instructor. But if I don't get to the gym to work out with them, I'm going to be fat, So, so one thing that is important is that we created a very flexible training program. That's a lot of it. I call it hybrid, meaning we took all the training that we used to do in the office, Jake, and then we put it into what's called in video format called Ashmont University.
Oh, nice.
So agents could access the training, the basic foundational training, on their own time. And then we have 2 to 3 times a month, depending on the weeks, how they fall. We have coaching. So it's all via Zoom. We record it for them, so our agents have no excuse not to be like up to date on what's going on. And we have speakers that come on. We talk about interest rates, housing stats, and pick topics. And then the third key point, like, is the foundation of our company is, agents sometimes outgrow your brokerage a lot. They look for other opportunities because they feel like they can't grow within your company. So it gives them an opportunity to become a mentor and run their own team if they want to. And, they get paid for that. So, if an agent, I remember like when I started, I was just myself, then I got a team, and then I want to run a brokerage. Like, you always want that next challenge. And, our brokerage gives them the opportunity to move up and start, maybe they're successful as an individual agent, but, to be successful running your own team, that can be difficult. That's a challenge. And then from there, they can become a broker, which we've agents in my career that we've trained up to be brokers, turn out to be our competition, but it's just the best way. We pay it forward. It's our job to teach new agents, and they're going to teach new agents. And, now we have 3-4 deep. So agents that I taught have taught people, then they've taught people. And it's kind of like a coaching tree, like NFL. So I think it's really cool.
No, that is awesome. That is awesome. And that's great too that you guys, don't just promote to a team leader and then kind of, say, here, take over from here. If they're looking to take that next step and want to even be maybe competition to you in your market, you guys are still willing to help them out and get them set in the right path. That's awesome.
It's just the right thing to do. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I'm sure you can attest to too, it can be hard being a brokerage or not having a roadmap or not having anyone to, kind of guide us in the right direction. We can waste a lot of time that way. In the nicest way to put it, right?
Yeah. And really our foundation is we focus on new agents. I know you asked me that question a second ago, but we do. Obviously we have existing agents that transfer over, because they want to maybe run teams or, they're outgrowing their brokerage, but really our, the nuts and bolts of our company is to recruit new agents, teaching them the right way. And we have great culture. As a company, we keep our agents. We don't have a ton of turnover than, awesome. On the statistics, because we have a good culture. And then we cultivate, we start them from the beginning and teach them the right way. So most of our efforts for recruiting is, students right out of college,
That's awesome. And it goes a long way. I was thinking being that first person that, help, kind of give them the helping hand and show them the way into the industry. It goes a long way. They'll remember it forever. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. It's just, it's rewarding. You can teach them the correct way of doing things. And, but I'm really happy with it, and makes me really proud.
Do you guys have like a recruiter in the office over there? Is it more so kind of your thing? Do you take care more of it?
Yeah, well, it's a great question. We had one of our other agents that was going to kind of spearhead it, but then I quickly realized that since it's your company, no one recruits better than you. So I interview all incoming agents to make sure they're a right fit with the company, because unlike some brokerages, we don't take everybody, because they got to make sure they fit in with what we're trying to do. Absolutely. Yeah, the culture, because it's a lot of agents, because I teach at Honduras College, and we have a lot of our agents through the state of Ohio go through there, and a lot of agents students, they're not agents yet. I always call them that, but a lot of our students will say, like, all these companies, they're just calling me on the phone and they're just wanting me to sponsor them and join, but we never even met. How do they know? We're obviously growing the brand, but we want to do it with quality. Yeah. Because having, 80-85% turnover every 24 months, it's hard to build a company, if that's what your turnover ratio. And that's hence why companies hire big recruiters and HR recruiters. But I always tell agents, like, sure, we can do that, but who's going to pay for that? Yeah. The agent is. We got to take it out. Does an agent want to take a less commission split or pay a higher monthly due to pay a full-time recruiter 50, 60 grand a year? And a lot of them say no. So, yes. I listen to my agents. My agents are my customers. I don't care about clients. I've said that many, many times. If your agents are knowledgeable, they're happy, they're on top of stuff, they'll take good care of your clients. Everything else will take care of itself. So
Absolutely. No, absolutely. It does make it a much more easy experience. Put that best foot forward, on the agent side. When we have a broker owner, someone that can be helpful for us. We ask questions to having a team leader, someone in place there. So that's awesome. It makes for a much healthier work environment for everyone. So that speaks volumes of the culture. That's awesome that you guys are building that.
Yeah. Yeah. Culture is really important. That's the only thing that separates companies, if you think about it, is culture. Yeah. Yeah. We all have the internet. We all have the MLS. It's all about culture and support. Yeah.
Absolutely. That was one huge way to set ourselves apart and, build those bridges, so that they can bring family, bring friends, bring anyone across that, might be, interested in, joining real estate, looking to sell or buy a house. You never know who's going to come across once you help build the bridge up.
Oh, it's a small world for sure.
Absolutely. Nice.
And you can burn those bridges too.
Yeah. It can happen quick for both ends. They go fast, go down fast.
It goes both ways. So yeah.
Awesome. Cool. And to dive a little bit into, kind of the future, what the, vision growth looks like for you guys over there. We go short term to start out. What is the next year this year? I guess since we're right at the start of the year. What is it kind of look like for you?
Yeah, that's great. I continue building the brand, keep really the I always kind of have a topic for each year for the company, and this year's leadership. So, we really have probably one of the best young talent that I've had in my career right now to make them mentors, because that's really important. That's the biggest bottleneck in our industry, is making sure we have good managers, because they're the glue that kind of keeps it together. They're the ones that answer 95% of the questions from agents. And so, this year is to build them up so we can bring on more agents under them so we can keep growing the brand. And, and then within the next 5 years, I would like to be throughout the entire state of Ohio. But our biggest bottleneck for sure is you got to have boots on the ground, because, we can join these other MLSs and other boards. You just literally sign a piece of paper, right? And you're joining them. But the problem is, I don't know about some states, but in Ohio, what we do in Central Ohio or in Dayton or in Lima is a lot different than they do in Toledo or Cleveland or Cincinnati. I mean, there are state real estate laws, but there's a culture and there's a difference how they do it. And you got to make sure you have boots on the ground to help these agents, because it's not fair for them to, join a brokerage and they don't have someone like, front line of defense in their market walking them through things, because if not, we'd be just like any other company, and I don't want to be that.
Absolutely. And that can definitely set us apart, being knowledgeable about, kind of what market we're, maybe stepping into, or maybe already have a couple agents into, can make a huge difference for us to, continue growing, keep the same culture out there. And continue taking those next steps. That's awesome.
It's hard as you grow. Keep culture. It's hard to keep your culture as you grow. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Have you faced any, you mentioned you're up to about 25 agents now. Have you ran into anything along the way that anything, when trying to keep the culture intact, that you might have be good advice for someone on the maybe newer brokerage owner side?
Yeah. Well, I always say we have a good hybrid. We have great learning. So our agents are up to date learning wise, but you got to keep your culture and morale up. You have to keep it exciting. Real estate agents, are notorious to follow the next shiny thing. You know what I mean? There's been brokerages over my career that have come and gone. They're still in business, but it was a wave and everyone jumped on board. But for any new brokerage, you got to keep it exciting. You got to keep it show them that you're your vision, you're growing. And we do a lot of fun activities. We call them outings. So we come together and do things. It could be baseball games to headshot parties. And some things families invited. Something we do every single year, which is my favorite part, is we have something called summer camp. So we rent out one of the lodges in Ohio, and then we have a conference in the morning, and then we do something in the afternoon. Now, I'm a hillbilly from Northwest Ohio, so I like to do fun outdoor stuff. That was the vision. And so we'll do anything from kayaking to ATV riding, hiking, stuff like that. Is like a whole company. And then, we'll stay at the lodge, and it's just really a way to unplug. But that money and the relationships that get built during that, that 2-day period, you couldn't buy that. You couldn't, I don't care what how deep of pockets you are that you might have, you can't replicate that. And I think, something like that really keeps our company together, because real estate is not a 9 to 5.
Yeah.
Agents are not sitting in your office, hanging out, bonding with you all day. That's not the reality. So you got to come up with really creative ideas to create that bonding. Because if they're not bonded to you, they will leave you. That's it. They'll leave to go somewhere else because it's the next new shiny thing. So we're very loyal.
I love it. I love it. No, and that is awesome. A great way to set yourself apart. And being that, really looking to build those relationships and be a part of the agent's life. Not just their broker, but be someone obviously that they can talk to. Have some fun, have some fun memories with as well. So that's really cool. That's really
you
cool.
Got to care. You got to care about them. That's ultimately what it comes down to. It's know who they are as a person, and that's why we have mentors, and that's when we put our agents through mentor training. We teach them, check on them. I don't care about real estate. Just, hey, how's it going? Hey, how was that vacation? Just check on them and make sure they know and you care about them. Because that means something. Some people won't leave you, even though if they might make a little bit more money somewhere else, hypothetically, because they're happy and they know you care about them. So I'll never apologize for that. So
I love it. I love it. And it goes a long way when someone knows that, we really have their best interests in mind. Maybe not just another, notch on the checkbook or anything like that. It goes a long way in, making them feel comfortable, making them, stay around, making sure that, that we really care, or make sure they know that, I should say, that we really care. So that's wonderful. I mean, I'm really happy that agents get that get that similar feeling from me. I know just in meeting you in this short while, I definitely feel like these are all things you don't have to think too much about. They're just right on the chest. So I love that. That's awesome. In closing a little bit, I mean, do you guys have or apologize? Do you have any social media, anything anywhere where the people can find you if they're in Ohio, or maybe in touch with you?
Oh, we love social media. Jump on we're on all the social media platforms. Facebook is at Ashmont Realtors. That is our Facebook group for our agents, at Ashmont Realtors. And then we are on all the platforms. We have a podcast, and you can find us at Ashmont Realty, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, everything. Yeah, we love social media. Yep.
I love it. No, it's a great way to stay in front of everyone, stay connected as well. So we'll link everything down below. If you guys have any questions, I want to get in touch with Adam. We'll have everything down there in the comments section for you guys.
Great. Thanks.
Of course. And thank you to you for coming out, for carving the time out of, I'm sure, your very busy schedule. So I appreciate you spending a few minutes with me here on the podcast.
Yep. Sounds good. I'm glad. Thanks for having me.